All right, so this very last video is all about details. And keep in mind that in a more extensive class, we would have many more steps. We would be adding lights and darks and lights and darks and facial features and shading and a lot of the things that we just don't have time for in a class structured in this way. But I would like to show you a little bit of shading just to show you what a difference it can make. And for this, if you're right-handed, start on the left side of the canvas and come right. If you're left-handed, start on the left side and go the right side and go left. So what I'm going to do, most of the light comes from this side of the canvas, and so I am going to go through and shade one side of each tree with a phthalo blue, which is actually kind of a blue-green color. And I'm doing that primarily to show you what a difference shading makes, because it can really help things to come forward that you want people to notice. And by the same token, you can push things back. My goal really is to bring the trees forward and let the breath part that is kind of flowing through be doing just that, not be the center of the focus, and have it just be kind of flowing through the trees rather than the main thing that a person sees. So you can see I'm already giving some definition, and I'm thinking I actually would like to maybe go through and shade both sides of the trees. Because that just really, look how that pops. So whereas before the trees were just kind of blending into that entire landscape, so to speak, now they are coming forward as trees instead of just a grouping of lines. And I'm actually really liking that a lot. And I may go in and I may play with this a bit and come back in and add a little more definition to these trees, and certainly feel free to do that on yours as well, so that they read a little more strongly in terms of, I know we talked about having it be a very impressionistic looking painting, and it is that. But I also want it to be discernible as to the fact that the person is actually looking at a forest. So with details on a painting and shading, what we're doing is we're just adding some definition. And to me, this is a really fun part of the process. And you can take days, literally days if you want to. Certainly several hours, if not days. And this is where I'm going to go in and add just little small details. Like I'm going to add the prairie grass, and I am going to come in and add some symbols. I haven't decided whether I want to add anything over here. Originally I had intended to put grass and flowers and all sorts of things around her. But honestly, I am really thinking she looks really beautiful, and so I'm thinking I'm just going to leave her the way she is. Certainly, if you would like to cover your lady, depending upon how comfortable you are having her be without clothing, you can adorn her with flowers or grass or just whatever seems to feel right for you. My trees are getting less and less defined over here, and I'm actually okay with that. I'm going to come over to this stencil and come up into the stencil area. And I'm using that green. Green is the opposite of red, so if you let them come together, they're going to make almost a black. And I wanted to have a little shading going onto the tree itself with that. And then I'm going to come over here, and this one I'm going to try to just have it come around the edges. And you can see how that just immediately has given some definition. And so what I'm going to do next is come in and just add a little shading around the different leaves. So I just encourage you, I'm also going to add a little shading around these rocky objects. They don't really look like, they don't read as rocks to me, but I'm actually okay with that too. There are times when I want something to be very clearly defined in a painting, but these little rocky outcroppings in the stream are not one of those times. And so, but I do think just having a little shading with them is going to be a good thing. And I don't know if you've ever seen the kind of water that is this phthalo blue color, but it is pretty magnificent. If you've ever seen it, you won't forget it. I remember when I was a little girl and I would go to theme parks and I would see water that was that beautiful blue-green color, and I would think that it didn't really exist that way in nature. And then the first time I actually saw that color in nature, I was just astounded and just pretty well blown away by it. And so, you know, it's gorgeous. I'm coming in here pretty strongly with the phthalo green just to kind of really add a little contrast in there. Note to self, this is not a good scrubby brush. Alrighty. So the next thing I'm going to do is come around some of the red areas with that same phthalo green, and I'm probably also going to add some prairie grass and a few other details, and then we will have a recap and close out our video series. I hope this has been fun for you, and I hope that it has been food for your journey and caused you to kind of think outside the box in terms of self-care and nurturing your soul.